Broadcasting from New York, New York. It's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
We're reacting to the season 14 OC Housewives trailer. Nene Leakes is desperate to get her old job back. Carole Radziwell is still speaking out about Andy and Bravo. Nature is healing, Britney is free, Paris is married, and Lindsay is Lindsay. We question, was Nicole Kidman miscast as Lucille Ball, and more with Evan Real. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by Evan Real, the senior TV reporter at Page 6, and my friend on Instagram. Welcome to Grant's Rants.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's nice to finally meet you. We're meeting through the pod, but, through Instagram, where of similar stripes, similar interests. What do you think?
Totally. There's a lot of overlap between Housewives and Britney and all things Bravo. And we're like pop culture twin flames.
You definitely have an appreciation for the Holy Trinity the way that I do.
Yes.
You're our kind of people on the pod, okay?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So we're going to talk about Britney. We're going to talk about Housewives and all that. But I really want to talk about Free Britney. That's going to be in the second part of this episode. But let's get started with reacting to this OC trailer, season 16. We saw the beginning of it. I did not watch last season. I have no regrets. I am so glad I missed it. But now I think I'm in for this one. I needed some time away, and this trailer was enough for me to make some time to at least see the premiere. Now, Evan, I know that you're really into this, so you'll probably watch, regardless. But what do you think?
I am so excited for the epic return of Heather Dubrow. I think that it's kind of like, it's interesting with OC. I think that OC is easy to dip in and out of. There have definitely been a few seasons where I'm just kind of like checking in peripherally. Sometimes I'm not super dedicated to a season, whether it was like some weird casting or just like weak storylines. But I think that Heather Dubrow is going to really add a new energy. I think that as we know about Heather Dubrow, she really helps elevate the show. I feel like Orange County has a tendency to feel really kind of, I don't know, like classless and like borderline trashy, which is so weird because there is so much wealth in Orange County. And I think that Heather Dubrow was a great example of that. And I think that she sort of inspires the other girls to step up their game and pull out the Gucci and, drink some Cristal. Like, I don't know. I think she adds a lot to the show. And I'm really interested to see how her presence is going to impact Gina and her messy buns. And seeing all her hair extension tracks. I think that, at least according to the cast photos, Gina has stepped up her game, and I think that it probably has a lot to do with Heather, which I love. And it looks like they have a tight friendship, which that I'm excited for, because even though I'm dogging her messy bun, I love Gina and I love Heather, and I think they can make a dynamic duo.
Yeah, definitely surprised to see the two of them look like they're in the same orbit. Not what I expected, but ultimately last season, I don't know what it was about. They had nothing going on. Now Heather seems to be the driver of the whole trailer. So I guess we finally got something to discuss. So I'm not too surprised because Heather is a big personality, and I was a massive fan of her for, I'd say, the first 3/4 of her run, and then the shtick for me got tired. But you're right, the show has slipped from like Newport Coast to like Newport Beach. So we need to kind of like bring it a little bit back up. I liked the trailer. I liked that they got smart, and now they're making it like I don't know, kind of like dramatic. The driving, they slow down the theme. She's walking in front of that window with the tree with the eggs in it and all that. Ridiculous.
Yes, it was very cinematic. It kind of gave me like Selling Sunset or even like The Hills vibes, like that, like a gorgeous production. So that is drawing me in as well, I think. I don't know. The trailer did its job because I cannot wait. I have the screener in my inbox, and I'm probably going to watch it right after I get off this podcast with you. I could not wait.
Well, I'm sure Heather was all too happy to have all these lights and everything set up for her strutting across the entranceway and all this. I'm sure she was
she's an
all too
actress
ready.
after all.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Malibu Country.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really discrediting her on that. More than she's done more than Malibu Country, but who can forget that
cream.
storyline? Yeah, so I will be looking at it. However, there's still a hole, and I know that I am like way in the minority, but there's a hole where Vicki and Tamara were, and I don't know. I guess I have to kind of go for the ride and see where we're gonna go next because I don't know if I'm missing them, but there's something missing.
Well, luckily they're gonna be on season 2 of Ultimate Girls Trip, Tamara and Vicki. So you'll get your fix there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a disaster. I can already tell you. Which I mean, I'm way more excited for that one than the other one, the first one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the first one I feel like is gonna be like a gentle introduction into this new spinoff. The second season, just from the reports that have come out and the group of women that they brought together, I think is gonna be absolutely wild.
Yeah. I'm glad that someone's going to call Vicki out on her anti-vaxxing. So
yes,
it's a long time that plays out at one of these shows.
I can't wait. Yeah, I actually I broke that story for Page 6, and I through some interesting channels, which I won't get into, I actually ended up on a very terrifying phone call with Vicki Gunvalson. She was not happy with me, and all I'm gonna say is that it was very much like family van energy. If you guys recall the family van scene, it was that decibel of screeching. It was horrible. I am a changed person and not for the better after that phone call.
Wow. Well, that's an incredible experience. I mean, just like you just have to laugh that.
Great memory. Great memory.
Yeah. No, I mean, by no means is Vicki any great mind of our times. I mean, she's extremely problematic, but there's something about her being on that show. I'm too invested in what she is and isn't doing. I don't know why, but I'm like the last sole person that wants to see her on the show.
I can see that. There's something a little bit like delicious about watching her fumble through life, to see what kind of, I don't know, lapse of judgment she'll have next when it comes to the men she dates or the clothes she wears, or I don't know. She's just such a wonderful mess, and I think that wonderful messes are great to see on Housewives, but I'm kind of glad we're getting a break, and I don't know how the Vicki of it all would mesh with this like new Heather Dubrow cinematic champagne room energy.
Mm-hmm. Now, this phone call with Vicki, how could she be mad at you if she's an anti-vaxxer because you broke what happened?
So that's the weird thing. It's like, Vicki, why are you mad at me? You should have just never expressed this opinion in the first place. It was very odd. I had to get off the phone. I was like, Vicki, I don't think this is a very productive conversation going on right now. So I think we should speak through Bravo at this point. And
there you go.
That was that. So yeah, I don't, it's weird. It's like, that's a great question. Like, why was she mad? Like, if you want to say it with your whole chest in front of Dorinda while the cameras are rolling, why are you upset that it's out in the open now?
And what do you think is going to happen in 9 months when the show comes out or whenever that is?
I don't know. I don't know. What she told me is she was very upset about how the report was impacting Kodo Insurance. So I think that if it wasn't negatively impacting her business, then she wouldn't have been so angry. So I don't know. We'll see what happens when it plays out.
Typical boomer, just going to say it.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, booms.
I'm not.
That's how they operate.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? The bottom line, no matter what. Yeah, well, I feel a little hypocritical of this because here I am going on and on about how Vicki, she's problematic, she's not great, but I want to see her on the show. And then we're talking about Nene, and she wants to come back on the show, and I am not for it because I think she's a terrible person. So my argument is completely up in smoke because, I mean, it's stupid. I don't know, maybe I'm more connected to Vicki because I watched her longer. I don't know what it is, but also, in my opinion, I think Vicki burns every bridge and everything down in her wake. So I don't really, Nene, I don't see it happening with her. Nene, I'm talking about,
Oh, yeah. Well, right. It's weird because I feel like I just interviewed Kenya and she's really excited about the new cast shakeup for Atlanta, but she did say that she would support a Nene return if it happens. But she also said that, look, it's not up to Nene. It's not up to us, the cast. It's up to the network and, it's up to Andy. And she and Andy are not in a great place right now. I think Andy actually just responded to all of this recently, saying like, look, I've been burned by Nene. I am traumatized to even utter her name, so I'm not going to even comment on this. So I don't really know, unless like Nene and Andy sit down and have like a real heart to heart and talk through all those crazy accusations that she made about like him being manipulative and possibly racist. She even claimed at one point. I think they really need to have like a sit down, talk about it, and figure out where they go from here, because Nene's one of those people where Andy's previously was always like, she's welcome to come back at any time, and right now she's not in that position, which is weird because she really wants to come back, and I don't know why she wants to come back. Like, maybe she's bored, maybe she needs the money, maybe after Greg is gone, she just feels like she needs to begin a new chapter on the show and tell her story. I'm not really sure, but it's interesting that you'd be down to have Vicki come back but not Nene. Why do you think?
I just never really cared for her, but the way that she left, the way that she handled things, you mentioned the Twitter stuff, and this is not in defense of Andy either. I just think it was just a terrible look. I mean, that platform made her who she is, and she now has changed her tune a couple times, and now all of a sudden she's on the Real talking about like, she's open to it, and like we just need to have a little sit down. We're just gonna have a conversation. It's like she's like out of it, in my opinion, like completely out of it. I don't know where she's coming from with this. It's not a good look, but also like she needs the Housewives. I don't think Andy really needs her, although do the ratings need Nene, and will she even bring them anymore? Because people like me, I have a sour taste in my mouth when it comes to Nene Leakes.
I gotta say, like, these past few seasons without her, I personally haven't missed her. Like, Portia Williams has become my new Atlanta queen, and so I'm so sad that she's gone from Atlanta this season. But I'm so excited for Marlo, who's a first-time peach holder. I think that's really exciting and well-deserved and long overdue.
This quote that Nene gave over on the Real, she said, we need to have a sit down and talk, and then we're off to the races. Entitled much? Like, we'll talk about cart before the horse.
You bring up a good point, because she has had, some really heated things to say about the show in the past, and all of a sudden it's like so chill and so easy. Like, oh yeah, like we just need to like have a little chit chat, and then we can get into filming. Like, Nene, it doesn't add up with the things that she has said in the past. So I don't know. I hope she's okay, to be honest. I hope she's all right.
I think she made her money. She made a name for herself. She was on that show, The New Normal. I mean, okay, like, certain things. And I kind of look at Lisa Vanderpump like this now. Like, some of these people are just so 10 years ago. I mean, she had her moment in the sun, and I'm not checking for Nene Leakes. I'm fine. I don't need her on the show. There are others that I'd like to have come on, but I'm okay letting her go. And, other people in the past who have burned Andy have not seen the light of day or have been like, ostracized in the past. So I wonder what will happen here. I just think that she'll probably go do a wee TV show and maybe do a panel show and weigh in different places. I mean, people do still love her and her personality.
She has a strong fan base. Like, and that's what Kenya told me. She was like, look, Nene still has a lot of really passionate fans, and if we're up to them, she would definitely be back on the show. So I don't know. There's a spot for Nene within the entertainment industry. Maybe if she can't rejoin the Housewives universe, she'll rejoin the Ryan Murphy universe and pop up on like American Horror Story or something. I don't know.
He's doing so much. She can fill in somewhere. She'll find a place. But that's what's interesting is, we all know Ryan Murphy for bringing in these, this kind of ensemble cast of actors that he likes to place in different places. We see familiar faces throughout his projects, but not so much with Nene though.
Yeah, he kind of like left her high and dry after Glee and The New Normal. That was kind of it for her.
And again, that's like so 10 years ago, right? So like,
right.
I'm wondering what happened there too. Because Nene's not the easiest person. So, but I mean, Kenya did say, I don't know if she told you this or if this was, I just read this in a general article, but that Nene has a very interesting story to tell now. I mean, she does. Her life has changed. There is something that we could like attach to, I guess, like what's happening now.
Yeah. But, maybe a friend of. She'd be a good friend of. Yeah. Luann did a friend of stint. Vicki did a friend of stint. So.
Take it or leave
and
it.
Kathy, Kathy did an incredible friend of stint, probably the best friend of stint in all of Bravo history.
Yeah.
Kathy Hilton, a legend.
Is she still holding out for money? That's the rumor anyway.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's the report. That's what everyone's saying, is that she wants more money from Bravo. And you know what? I don't blame her. Like, she really was the hit of the season. The only thing that I'm thinking about with this whole situation is, if she's holding out for more money and she's pushing for a big salary, then is she negotiating for a full-time position? Because I think that Kathy Hilton in a full-time role might diminish her magic. I think what was so great about her is that she could pop in and out whenever she wanted to. There wasn't any sort of, she wasn't beholden to sharing more of her life. We didn't really get into the weeds of her life. And I think that if we did, it would have taken a more serious turn and we wouldn't be laughing quite as much with her. So I hope she's able to maintain this fun friend of position and also get the money that she wants. But I also hope that she doesn't become too self-aware of how funny she is, because I don't know if you remember, I always think about Snooki, how she was just like a comedic genius and so unaware of it her first season of Jersey Shore, but then she realized why people loved her, and so like she amped it up. And although I love Snooki up and down, like I love everything about her, one of the sweetest girls, I think that after that first season we lost a little bit of the magic because she knew what her shtick was, and I just hope that doesn't happen to Kathy as well if she comes back.
Yeah, I mean, Kathy was utilized as a side character, and that's what made her work. I agree. I don't need any more of like her and Rick having lunch and all that, like, you know, fighting a problem with Nikki's parenting or something stupid. Like, yeah, I'm okay. We can leave that as it is, but I'm split on that whole asking for money thing, because on one hand, you know, she does not need the money. You know, this is a side gig for her. This is just, you know, we learned that this got her much closer with her sister, and this was healing and all that. So, like, on that end of things. But then on the other side, you know, she did contribute a lot that and other housewives have contributed far less for far more money for many years. So I see both sides, but I don't know. I don't love a money grab holding out, especially when you're in a friend of role. It's one thing if you're leading this thing or you're being really unfairly paid, but I don't think it's money that Kathy needs.
Right. Yeah. I know that's a great point too, and especially because like she's probably the richest woman to have ever appeared on a Bravo show in the history of Bravo. So yeah, you're right. But maybe it's just like the principle for her.
Yeah, I'm half and half on that. But yeah, at the same time, like, yeah, take Bravo's money. I mean, go for it. You know, she got that show a lot of engagement, to say the least. So
totally.
That's what you get. Our last story in this part is Carole Radziwell basically still speaking out about her time on the show all these years later. But I like that someone is openly critical of Andy. It's very rare. So it's refreshing. She talked about salary, claiming that season 1 salaries are like $60,000 a year. We don't have any of this confirmed. I don't know. This is what she's saying. She said it's like nothing. I don't know. What do you think?
This is congruent with things that I've heard in the past, that housewives during their first season get paid around $60,000, which always baffles me, because I'm like, I know that a lot of these women who come onto the show, what they want more than anything is fame, and they already have the money, so they don't care. So that I'm like, okay, I guess I can see how they would say yes to 60,000, but also like 60,000, like that's nothing for these women. So why even bother? But it was interesting in what part of Carole said was like, I'm not doing it for 60,000. Like, you're going to give me 100K at least, which she ended up getting. Yeah. But I think it's always really interesting when housewives in particular, but reality stars in general, are very open about what they make, because you always wonder like how much, like, they have to maintain these lifestyles, but housewives has become their main job. So like, how are they, you know, keeping the money rolling? But yeah, I think it's so interesting. And then she also said that like seasons later, the money got great, and she wouldn't reveal that salary, which I thought was really interesting. I want to know what she was making at the end of her run, because I know like these women can make up to like 500, 600,000 a season. And then, you know, there were those reports back in the day that people like Nene and Bethany would pull in $1 million per season, which is just, it's insane. It's crazy how it can run the gamut from 60K to $1 million. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and what they put their value on and who they put their value on. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an odd thing. I like that she did come in at that 100,000 mark to begin and be like, no, this is what you get for me. And the show was in bad shape at the time. So they accepted that. And then she has this Kennedy clause saying that they couldn't exploit her late husband's family and the name for a promotion, which smart.
Very smart. I'm very surprised that Bravo agreed to that. So good for her.
Same. Yeah. She writes off her friendship with Andy as being overly exaggerated and that they just had mutual friends. So you have to laugh at her putting some distance between the two of them. But I don't know. She confirmed other things about like the active story producing, which I've talked about at AfterBuzz and on this podcast for years, that there are many people paid to shape these shows. So I wasn't surprised by that, claiming that they subbed in reaction shots. I mean, that's amateur stuff. That's like, that's easy
I feel
stuff.
like I'm constantly pointing that out when I'm watching these shows. Like, oh, that's not what Shannon's face looked like when Tamara did this or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
we know, Carole.
I think the audiences today, especially, are just a lot more aware of all that stuff. I think that we're so much smarter than we were, like, I don't know, when we were watching The Simple Life, when I thought all of that was real. It's so funny to watch shows like that. I did a Simple Life rewatch recently, and it's like, oh my God, like, this was all set up. Like, this is not real whatsoever. But like in 2004, 2005, whenever that show was on, I ate it up and I thought it was completely authentic.
Same. And now you look at those shows, I always say you can practically see the script, Yeah, I know. We've become a lot smarter, and that's why I think these shows need to have quicker turnarounds, and we need to see a little bit more of breaking of the fourth wall, because we're all students of reality TV. We know what's happening. I mean,
Exactly.
we're people in the business, but you don't have to be to see when you're being like manipulated. Like, it's TV. As long as we're entertained, we're here for the ride. That's it.
Totally.
I'm
and
okay.
I love breaking the fourth wall. Like, that's my favorite part of a reality show, is when they break the fourth wall, when things get crazy enough where a producer has to step in and they have to like acknowledge production. Love it.
Yeah. Finally, I don't feel like I'm like being sold anything. I'm like, okay, now this is what actually happened here. That's what I'm watching for. So
Totally.
I feel the same way. It's interesting. I think I talked about this on this podcast or maybe another. The last thing I'll say about Carole is I was waiting for one of the housewives to come out and to say that the show and the success of the housewives was built on the backs of women. And Carole did say this previously. I've been waiting on this. A lot of money has been made by pitting these women against each other. That's just a fact. So I was waiting to see who is going to come to the table with that. And I guess knowing Carole, as we do through the show alone, being politically active and having an opinion, I'm not surprised that she's the one to shout it out. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. And I think you're so right. I think that, do you know who actually said this? Not a housewife, but a few years back was Kathy Griffin. She said that the show was exploitative towards women and that it was built on the backs of women who have been made to fight with each other and feud, and they're pitted against each other. So yeah, I agree with that assertion from Carole, and I'm glad that an actual housewife was finally said it, because I mean, it's not going to stop me from watching, and I don't think it's going to stop the women from fighting, but at least it's out there. We can acknowledge it, and I don't know if it's fine. It just is what it is.
It is. I know. It's like, I don't want to make an excuse for it on the podcast. That's the show. The bottom line is it's sold to a network that's airing these episodes, right or wrong. I mean, this is the business that it is. And yeah, you're right to credit Kathy with that. Kathy said a lot of things that were quite unpopular at the time that I believe make a lot of sense to me. Let's just say that.
And I think if some of those quotes that Kathy gave were revisited now, I think that more people, and not everyone, because there are diehard Andy apologists who are never going to agree. But I do think that after experiencing everything we've experienced from 2016 until now, I think that just the climate at large has changed, the way we talk about women, the way we talk about women in entertainment. And I think that a lot of people would be more willing to try and digest some of the truths, in my opinion, that Kathy Griffin was speaking when she was talking about her own with Andy Cohen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was some value there. Let's just say that, and what she had to say. When we return, we're going to be talking finally free Britney. I mean, not a moment too soon. We're going to talk all about it. And then a little bit of commentary around being the Ricardos. We'll get there. That and more coming up next. Now this.